Hello everyone, my name is Gus.
Hi, I'm Woody.
And today we have the first of two videos, at least two. We might make more than two. There's a lot of content. But the first of two videos of our expedition, I don't know, experience, adventure.
Adventure, it's a good word.
In Cozumel this last weekend. If you guys are following us, you know that we were in Cozumel doing some diving with Mike Young and the rest of the Kiss Rebreathers Cave Exploration team, which we were part of for the first time last year in August when we went to Roaring River. And we were invited again, this time in Cozumel. A couple of things that were interesting about this expedition or this trip was, number one, nobody in the team had been inside this cenote that we were exploring.
Correct.
Do you want to explain really quick why?
Well, these are not open to the public. And in particular, Mike explained to me that, and I don't want to say all caves in Cozumel, but at least most, I believe, these are not very easy to dive caves. In Cozumel, I'm told in general.
Yeah.
So we had to get special permission from what would be considered, I guess, their head of almost like their environmental protection agency. And we had a purpose. The purpose of this was twofold, as I understood it. One is to kind of understand their water resources better. Where's their water coming from? Do we want to construct in these areas and destroy potential water sources?
That's right.
And the second was they were bringing in some very high-level biologists. One's world regarded around the world. There's another video, I don't know if this is the one we're reacting to or not, where I'm carrying this device that he made on me that's sampling the water to understand the different salinity levels maybe and so forth, and of course discovery of new species.
Correct. And you know, the other thing is when this cenote was explored, which was back in the early 90s, there were so many that, you know, they called urban cenotes. They're in the middle of the city. There were so many of them that they would literally just go in, and as soon as like it started to get a little tight or whatever, they would like wrap it up and let's go to the next one and the next one. And then they were unlimited. So they were like, let's just swim in like 1,000 feet and let's get out. And that was it.
And presumably they weren't on rebreathers.
Right. They were in back mount doubles,
so.
just, you know, really big. So as soon as things got tight, they were sort of like, let's just, why bother? Like there's another one 2 blocks from here. Right. And the problem with that is that by doing that, you don't have the maps, the underwater maps of the cenotes. And we saw one, for example, a parking lot that was built on top of a cenote that collapsed. And there was like a big sinkhole in this parking lot because it was built on top of a cenote that wasn't mapped. Nobody had explored that far, right? So that's another thing that they're trying to do is understand how big they really are so they don't build a hotel on top that falls through the ground a year after it's built.
Definitely.
Right? So anyway, this cenote is close to the public. They haven't been dived in like 30 years. And what we're going to do today is we were split in teams. So Woody was diving. We didn't dive together. We were never, only one dive, I think, that we were as a
I think we just
trio.
progressed. The 4 of us went in at one time, and then you guys kept going, and we were trying to find side passages off that.
Correct.
You were trying to find the end of the line. We were trying to find side passages off the line, and then the story goes from there.
That's right.
And by the way, Mike Young does survey.
Yes.
Just to finish your thought, because I think it's very valid, not only are we exploring these and laying new line, but then to your point, Mike goes back and Randall, and I don't know how to survey. They're surveying. I think I have some video of that so that they can, in fact, extend these maps and draw out these caves.
That's right. So we'll start the video. This is my dives. On the next one, we're going to have Woody's dives. And this will be like kind of a sampler of everything we did. And we'll just talk over it because we're underwater. Look at the water that we're getting ready on. It doesn't look very clean.
Look, you know that many people were actually messaging me saying, well, you're diving in Cozumel, there could be sewage in there. They don't think so, that the local people don't think so there. Yeah. There is a ton of floating bacteria in the freshwater part. One other thing I would like to say about this part. This is already when our gear and our tanks are down there.
Yeah. to get
Getting
there.
it there is going through a jungle and handing tanks down, a big thing.
That's right.
You got to get lots of gear down here, so do it in small steps.
Okay, Woody, you gotta go that way.
Really? Yeah. See everybody, I'm going through this nasty jungle side, and Mike's got a nice, beautiful area. Yeah. Oh my God! Oh, got it. Well, there's a little bit of a path, at least right here. Okay, we're sort of walking and surveying through this jungle. Some of the cave we're going to be exploring, and it's a little choppy in there. Relax back there. We're just back in here, and this is going to be the first one we're going to be in tomorrow. Pretty cool. What's really amazing is we're right in Cozumel, but these things are just right here in the city. There's like unexplored cave right in the city. Okay, so go ahead, Gus. What are you doing there?
Yeah, so here we are swimming. So as Woody mentioned, we were split in pairs. One pair would extend the explore area within the cenotes. So that was my pair. So my job was to swim in and try to keep going, right? How big this thing is. While Woody was focused on, at least during these dives, he was right behind us. He was focused on looking for leads. So going from the line, it's like, oh, it looks like there's a tunnel this way. Let's go that way. Let's go that way. Now, sometimes when we got to the end of the line, we also look for leads because we're like in exploration mode. So here you see me just diving through the cenote, which again hasn't been dived in 30 years. And some of the walls you can see they're kind of exposed, and that's because the bacteria kind of falls off. So all of this is bacteria that has been growing uninterrupted for decades. So as soon as you swim by it, even if you don't hit it, you can see it starts falling off the walls. It's just a mess.
It's like really easy to move.
That's right.
Two things. Number one, you look really good there. I want to give you a compliment. I think your trim, your tanks, your everything looks really under control. And the second thing I think that was interesting to me, Gus, is the line that you're carrying. Mm-hmm. You can see it floating down on him is a very big spool. I don't know. Right. What do you have there? Did you think that's a 500
feet? Yeah.
So that's 500 feet of line.
Okay. So
and this little line that what looks like super thin line. So it's not like the gold line you're used to in Florida, right? This is exploration line.
Correct.
This little line holds up to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, super strong.
So, it's really strong.
Because we do get that question sometimes. People are like, why are you not using like climbing rope, like super thick? It's just not necessary. This thing doesn't break. It's pretty strong. So the point that I got here is the furthest point that Woody and Mike Henry explored the day before. You guys went as far as you could based on time because we follow a strict time. And then once you got to a point where you can tie off, you left the reel and said another team can go and keep pushing.
Exactly.
So this is me getting to that and, taking over from there. So that is the reel that you guys left the day before. So like, are you ready?
There you go.
So we're laying line. Now, you will notice in some of these passages that there's also already line there. But you will also see that even though it's the same size as ours, so it's super thin, it looks like a boat, anchor rope, because of all the bacteria. So we were concerned that it can break. It's been there for decades, so you never know. Right?
And
so we were laying our own.
And at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not in Virgin Cave territory yet, correct? You're still along their other line.
We're still pushing to the end of the line. That's right.
But ultimately, in this video, that's where he's trying to get to. He's trying to get to the end of the old line. Yeah, you can see the other line in there. And by the way,
it looks so much
it's
thicker.
Confusing. So Mike wanted us to cut and remove the old line once we had new line laid there because it's like an entanglement hazard, and it's all over the place.
And
it's
we did
old.
do that at the end.
And at the end, we did. We cleaned up. So we kind of cleaned up the cave, if you will, from a line perspective.
Right. So our line replaced the old line. So if anyone goes in there, at least it's new, strong, line.
I like the way you're doing that. You're holding it in your left hand in the same hand as the light. You just have your finger so that it spins easy. Look, you see how he has his finger in the middle of the spool?
Look at that. Like he was measured for it. Perfect. To a tie point.
Really?
That's when it ended. Yeah. So here's where I have to switch from the empty one to the full one. So again,
now
this
you're
is
gonna
just a sampler.
this is you're gonna do a full blown permanent tie off of this one.
No. I switched because at the end of the line there's a loop, so I tied my other reel and keep going.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I did not get to do that. So see, I did not even understand that till you just now explained it. We never ended a line in our case.
So see, this has line going both ways. So this is the challenge sometimes with exploration. It's like, do I go that way or do I come this way? What side is the end of the line, right? And sometimes, we went one way first, and when we got to the end or a wall or whatever, we came back and went the other way.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. So I chose left.
Which, that is one of the big differences. I was going to describe the feeling. It's wide open. Gus can go anywhere he wants because no one's ever been there.
Right.
But some people, Mike Young, have an instinct that
Cave whisper.
That they just know which way to go and how the cave continues. It's experience matters.
Yeah.
And the second thing, Gus, is we would not be capable of doing this without being with these experienced guys that have done it before.
Right.
I wouldn't have known to bring all those markers.
Right.
Marking leads, how much line to bring. There's a lot to it when you're exploring.
Yep. So this section right here, I'm swimming to the end of this line and just tying off and going, right? So I think that will be a good place to tie off.
And by the way, it's nice to see you going nice and slow. That's unusual. But when you're laying new line, you can't really be in a rush because he doesn't know where he's going. Although it looks like you are still following the old line there.
Yeah, I am. But we're swimming to the end of the line there, and then we'll take it from there and keep going. Now, the funny thing about every end of the line that I found, and I found 3 of them. I got to the end of the line 3 times and then kept going. Is that every time it ended in a circuit. I ended up finding some of my other line that I laid somewhere, and I'm like, So it's awesome because you swim in like 300 feet or 400 feet or something, and you keep swimming and swimming and swimming. You're like, wow, this is all virgin cave, and then all of a sudden you see a white line going across. It's like, So circuits are just basically a circle, right? You go around a big formation of rock and find the line again.
And you don't want to find your line again because you
No.
want to find new cave.
Right. I mean, it's all new cave where you're making the circuit, but you're not going deeper, yeah.
And by the way, there was a goal. The goal was to figure out where is the saltwater layer? Where is all of this water coming up from? Because there is a halocline in there somewhere where it breaks down into the salt water. And if you could find that hole, all the bacteria is gone.
Yep.
It gets really pretty. It turns bluish like you would imagine diving in the ocean.
So notice in here, there is an arrow on the line, an arrow like this one right here. And we were using markers like arrows and cookies to mark leads. So if I was swimming lane line and all of a sudden on my left, I noticed that there's something that looks like a tunnel or something, or like the cave will go that way, I would drop an arrow and just keep going, right?
And obviously he's pointing that arrow always towards the exit.
Correct. So here I am pursuing one of my own leads. I dropped that arrow. I remember arrow number 2, G2. And I thought the cave went a lot.
Yeah, you heard Gus just say G2, so we each had arrows with our name or our initials numbered like 1 through 10.
Yeah.
So it would be like, there's Gus 4. So we explored some of Gus's arrows actually, Mike and I.
Yeah.
Because their goal was to continue, and actually their goal was to try to find where is this mystery open hole that drops down into the saltwater layer.
Where's that chimney? So here I'm going, this is all new. It gives you an example of what a virgin cave looks like because you don't know where to go. It's so easy when you have a line, right? You just follow the line. People already figured this out, but we didn't figure it out. So we're figuring it out as we go. And sometimes you're swimming, you're like, left, right, like, where is it? Where do I go?
And everything, at least when you're new at it, for me, looking left and looking right, I felt like I needed 50 arrows. I'm like, there's one, there's one, there's one. And that's the lack of experience.
Yeah.
So imagine when they were exploring Ginny Springs. When you go in, there's a million little passages left and right, but they all wall out.
Right. So here the cave starts to get tight. And I try to stay off the bottom because the bottom is full of bacteria that as soon as you look at it wrong, it will just blow up. So that's my line. And I'm looking at this point to see if the cave... Two things, whether the cave continues, and number two, where can I tie my line? Because you make secondary tie-offs along the way, so your line stays straight, right? So here I am looking, and I think in this particular case, I wanted to leave this on the video, we found a dead end. It was a wall. But I still tied my line to the end, and I put an arrow to show that I explored that lead. So for anyone that follows that line, they'll get to the end and be like, okay, that was it.
By the way, a lot of the places that you tie off in break.
Yeah.
I tied off on one. It looked like a big sturdy pillar. Next thing I know, that whole pillar falls down and takes my line down with it, and you got to undo that. And so you don't know.
Now look at Randall, right? He is close to me. He's my buddy. We're self-reliant too. Like I can, rescue myself, but Randall is always close to me. But he's also looking for leads. Like, where's the cave going? Like, he's right next to me, but he's like, oh, let me see. Let me scan left to right. Like, does it go anywhere? So here I am back kicking.
Nice. Good technique.
There is, it was a dead end. But I remember in this one that I'm like, oh, I forgot the cookie, so I had to go back in. I'm like, oh, I wanna show them that it was me who looked this up in case they have questions. So I had to actually wedge myself back in there and back kick my way out of it again. And that's why it's so important, to learn these kicks,
critical in here.
Becoming a cave diver. All right, back out to the
See all that floating bacteria? I mean, we are under the streets of Cozumel. I'm just saying.
Okay, so in this one, you can see the marker there, the cookie, the orange cookie. That goes into an area of the cave that was unexplored. It was Virgin Cave. But when we got to it, that line, when we got to it, it was a tunnel like this big. And we were already like an hour or something into this dive. So Randall is like, just leave it and we'll come back tomorrow. So this is next day, actually. So we get to the cookie and I tell Randall, are we good? Do you want to now go into the small tunnel? He's like, go. So this is us going into this for the first time ever.
Cool.
Yeah. So first we have to get to the end of the line.
There are lots of silt outs when you're cave exploring, and you got to hold the line. Yeah. You absolutely have zero visibility many times.
So some stalactites on this one. Pretty cool. Randall Purdy was my cave exploring buddy on, what was it, Saturday and Sunday, so 2 days. So here I am, that's the hole. I'm like, are you ready? I'm going. And then he's like, let me the reel. Give me the reel. You can hear it. Can I have the reel? This reel. I'm like, okay, you can have it. I unhook it. I hand it to him. Okay, get ready. So you can't see, but the hole is so small, dude. I mean, you can see it when I wedge myself in and I'm twice the size of the hole. That's it.
There you go.
Can't go through. It's too small. But I remember I stopped for a second. You see my fins kind of stop, and I started looking at it, and I'm like, well, what would Mike do in this situation? Mike would probably figure out the right angle. And in this particular case, the right angle was inverted. So I went inverted.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Good job, man.
Of course, visibility is going to go to a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, you had to kick to get yourself through there.
Yeah, it was
Now-
pretty tight.
Now, I want everybody to remember, and I'm sure they're asking, they're like, well, but let's say you get in, how about getting out? Because what you have to say to yourself is there room for me to turn around?
Yeah.
Or am I going to have to wedge my feet backwards? And sometimes buddy teams will set up a code like, if you see me moving my fins like this, pull my fins
Yeah.
out.
Or making an X. Or
You're
whatever.
going to have to pull me out. So I don't know. I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
Find out.
Yeah, so in this case, I was lucky enough to be able to go in and look that there was enough room inside to turn around. So sometimes you can see. And in this case, I can. And I went in, and Randall is like, Gus, I'm gone. I'm behind the wall alone. And Randall is on this side alone.
And he's doing the right thing. He's waiting.
Yeah.
You know, you're not
And then
flashing.
there's
your-
a light. There was a hole above it that we missed.
Oh man! Oh my goodness! That's hilarious, man.
And you can hear Randall laughing. I'm like, it's too small. You have to get out of here. Don't come through. He's like, okay, okay. But then I look behind me.
He's
Randall
laughing.
Then I look behind me, and I'm like, I see this like wall, but it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. There's like a little small gap on the bottom. And I'm like, man, I think I want to go in a little bit. Randall is like, come out this way. And I'm like, hold on. Let me just wait right here. Let me go in a little bit. So I went to investigate. And he's just waiting. I cut the video, but he's waiting and waiting and waiting for me.
Look at him. Where did he go?
Yeah. And by the way, he puts Gus. He puts the light away so to see if he
your
can
light.
see my light. Yeah. I can imagine he started to get concerned because I was gone for like a good 5 minutes plus. And he's
you
like, "Is he
cannot see your
alive?
light. So
Is
what
he-"
did you find, like a hole or something back there?
So I went under the thing and it was tight. And I just kept swimming and swimming and swimming, and then it opened up again. And I'm like, oh my God, it opened up. It's Virgin Cave. So as I'm looking for a place to tie the line to go back and get Randall, I'm like, dude, come here. This cave is big. I found the line. Again. Another circuit.
No.
It's like, Gus!
Gus, he's getting concerned.
Yeah. He's starting to get worried.
And that is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And you did not hear him doing that, right?
No, I was gone. I was far.
Okay.
Tying on the line. I remember I got to the line and I'm like, I wonder if I can swim fast and get to him from behind and scare him.
I'm curious, as a buddy team, did he say something to you about that later? Like, hey,
See.
I don't want you to do that.
No, he was like, that's awesome.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you, yeah. Because I came back, I decided not to scare him. I said, look, I'm trying to tell him, it's a circuit, it's a loop. It's like, just swim that way. And he's like, come here, I can't see you. It's pretty silty. And I'm like, you go that way. Let's go that way. And he's like, no question. Okay. And I'm like, hey, come here. I wanted to tell him. It's a circuit. It's a circuit. It's a circuit. He's like, got it, circuit. So let's go that way. And I'm like, let's go that way. Back to the line. And then I try to get out, and that hole was tight. I couldn't get out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm stuck.
Right there, you're stuck?
Yeah, I'm stuck right here. So I just go and back out of it, just wiggle myself out. And I told Randall, you go that way, I go this way. So we both split and to meet at the circuit, at whatever I tie it on. So you'll get to see that. So this is Randall getting out. You can see it's still silty. And eventually, he swims to where I was. So we meet. That's my light. He's just laughing that I found another circuit. We were so frustrated because we kept on making circuits.
But that's
Some of them
exploration.
pretty big.
You know, that's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I tied to arrow number 10, which is right there. Funny thing is they found another entrance from another cenote and connected to arrow number 10. So we were feet away from another cenote that they got to name because it was a hidden cenote, and I missed it. I could have named it Dive Talk Cenote, but I missed it. They found it next day.
I know which one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
Mike
video.
and Randall found it.
Yeah.
So there it is.
So that's it. You permanently tied off there. What
Oh, no,
kind of
that's
knot?
G8.
What'd you do there? Just the old-fashioned dint?
Yeah, I'm not.
No figure eight or whatever. Just the old-fashioned poop poop.
These guys are like,
Same.
I have a special force fireman knot
Right.
that I can teach you. No, I just
Me too. I did the old. That's mine. And
whatever that's called. That's the one I did.
I call it the knot.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, okay.
It's fine.
And that was it.
Very nice.
So it's a little sampler of the 10 dives we did in 3 days.
Yes.
We did a lot of diving. They're still surveying the line. The last number was a little over 2,000 feet from the line that I laid. But they're still surveying that. I think it's going to be anywhere between 2,000 and 2,500 based on how many spools I emptied, basically. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Really, really fun experience. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy laying new line as much as I did. And I can't wait to go back.
I know.
It was so awesome. And those guys are still there. And we're here working and doing stuff.
And we're getting video. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at my watch, my Apple Watch. It's vibrating, and I just saw one was from like Randall Purdy, and it has like a movie link, and I'm like, okay, they found a giant new passage, and I'm happy. Yes, we want them to. Let's be honest, we absolutely want them to. And I will say that Mike did say that on the Woody dive, if you will, you're naming them by our names. He's leaving that line for me. So I got to go back and continue.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a video of that coming up.
Yeah, coming up next. I will say, though, for those of you who are members, if you haven't seen Mike Young's Cenote tour video, check it out. It's on the members-only video list. If you're not a member, consider subscribing because we have a bunch of videos that are for members only, and one of them is Mike Young doing a tour. You were there too. You did it in person. I wasn't on that trip, but doing a tour of all of these cenotes, stopping by, telling the story of it, you know, some stories from dives in the past. It was really, really interesting. But like I mentioned earlier, the first time we were part of the KISS exploration team was at Roaring River. And in case you haven't seen those videos yet, I'm going to leave them right here. Go check it out. And tune in to Woody's Dive coming up next.
Bye, everybody.